Everybody, welcome back to Leosophy. Got 3 more questions. Here they are. Yeah, I didn't say you know what this time. Is apple cider vinegar real? Okay, what you mean by that, I'm assuming, is that are any of the health claims associated with apple cider vinegar real? Because yeah, apple cider vinegar and coconut oil, that's the whole new age trendy thing to consume, right? And apple cider vinegar does have some good things about it. Because it's acidic, it can sort of help with acid reflux. Because sometimes the causes of acid reflux have less to do with a highly acidic diet and more to do with simply an imbalance in the strength and magnitude of the acid that your stomach's producing. And actually introducing something acidic can level that off. Not always. I mean, it can have the opposite effect too. And it does contain acetobacter, which is beneficial in some ways as a probiotic. And it's, I mean, it's got micronutrients. I'm not really sure what exactly. So, I mean, it has some positive things. You can incorporate it in cooking and maybe even add a splash of it to water as long as it's not close to bedtime when you need to, brush your teeth. Or, wait, maybe it should be the other way around, before you brush your teeth. That being said, it's definitely overhyped, and so is coconut oil as a health food. And there's a real simple means of determining whether something is overhyped as this cure-all, and that's look at the things that it treats. If it treats more than like 3 things, that's suspicious. If it treats things that are contradictory, that's suspicious. And if it treats things that have nothing to do with, well, things that are unexplained by any kind of mechanism, at that point, you're dealing with pseudoscience. And I'll give you an example of all 3. Apple cider vinegar, it treats everything. It treats acid reflux. It treats vitamin deficiencies. It treats chronic pain. It treats autism. It treats what's that thing where you fibromyalgia? It does everything. If you have a callus on your foot, drink some apple cider vinegar. That's suspicious. And then contradictory things. If your stomach acid's bothering you, indigestion, add some apple cider vinegar. Complete opposite. You just burning through stuff of apple cider vinegar. You need to lose weight? Apple cider vinegar. You need to gain weight? Apple cider vinegar. That doesn't make sense. It should do one or the other. There are some compounds that actually can do a lot of contradictory things. They're called adaptogens, but they're very rare, and the science isn't even completely out on them, and apple cider vinegar certainly is not one of them. So that's the contradictory. And then lastly, if it treats things that have nothing to do with the logical mechanism of it, like case in point, epilepsy, apple cider vinegar. How? Like, how would that actually work? So, yeah, same thing with coconut oil. I'm not going to go into it because it would just double the length of this answer, but a lot of these compounds that are just the current favorite of the new age crowd or the pseudoscience crowd, they always attribute too much to it. It does everything. It even does things that don't make sense. If you're too this or too that, like chamomile helps you if you're tired. I mean, if you want to sleep. It doesn't give you energy. You'll never see somebody say, you need a pick-me-up, have some chamomile. Similarly, if somebody's claiming, you need more energy, have some apple cider vinegar. You're tired, this will help you wind down, apple cider vinegar. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So that's the deal. The only thing that can make you tired when you need to be tired and awake when you need to be awake is a shower. So let's see. I hope that answers that. Question 2. Do killer bees make honey? Absolutely. Killer bees are not like a species of bee. Killer bees are like a breed of bee. That was occlusive. Okay, it's very complicated. When people use the word bee in common parlance, usually they mean Apis mellifera, the honeybee. Okay, killer bees are not really. I don't even like the term killer bees. They're bees of. They're Africanized bees. They come from a strain of bee in Africa, and there's all sorts of different strains of bee, which we could call breeds. I think that's actually a better term, but most people use the word strain. There's Italians who are super chill. There's Germans who are not so chill. There's Russians who are resistant to disease. There's Buckfast, which I think they're from Britain originally, and they were bred by some dude, I can't remember. But, they have a lot of other good qualities. There's different breeds. It's very similar to dog breeds. Very similar. And if that's the case, Italians would be like the labs, and killer bees would be like, I don't want to generate controversy by saying pit bulls, but that's kind of, the media gives them a lot of bad press, and they are associated with more attacks. The venom is no more powerful than any other honeybee. They all have the same rough strength of venom. They produce honey. Their behavior is almost identical. The only difference between a quote-unquote killer bee and any other kind of honeybee, Apis mellifera, in fact, if I remember right, I think they give it like a subspecies name, even though it's not a subspecies. It's like Apis mellifera scutellata. But the only difference between Apis mellifera scutellata and Apis mellifera italiana or whatever is they tend to go after you for longer, and more members of the colony will sting when they're riled up. Like if I have bees. If I open my Italian colony, maybe one or two of them are going to get riled up and try and get the others active, and even then I'm not going to get stung. I mean, maybe once, maybe twice. If I open my Germans up, like 4 or 5 of them will get riled up initially, and then they'll rile up, 10, 20 of them. Conversely, if I had an Africanized beehive and I opened it up, the vast majority of the workers would get riled up in no time, and they would pursue you for a longer distance. So it's just temperament. That's the difference between African bees and Africanized bees, whatever, and all the other varieties. That's the difference. So same species, same general behavior, and it's the only real difference is their temperament, the way they behave in response to a threat. And there's a good reason for that. We don't have everybody's seen the honey badger videos. That's in Africa. They had to adapt to stuff like that. Let's see. Last question. What causes breath to mist in the cold? Ooh, I kind of like the way you phrased that. Okay. Man, I really, God, I gotta get that whiteboard up. I own a whiteboard, guys. I just haven't put it on the stand yet. It's ridiculous. It'd be a little bit easier to draw this. But actually, you know what? I'll just do a demo. Okay. Whenever you breathe, obviously your diaphragm is it's originally open, kind of like an accordion, and then it contracts and air is forced out. And then when it goes back down, it creates a vacuum. And that vacuum causes air to go in to your lungs. So you're not pulling air into your lungs. Air is going in on its own in response to a vacuum, because nature abhors a vacuum. And that's important for what I'm going to explain later on. Now, when you're in an environment where the temperature is not that different from your body temperature, 98.6 degrees, like currently right now it's like 60-something here, you pull it in, and the air is going to expand a little bit, but not significantly, because air expands when it's warmed up, and it's going to be warmed up inside your lungs. And then you exhale, and some vapor is going to be pulled from your body to that, but not much. Well, when it's cold out, though, now imagine this. Cold air is very contracted. Like I said, warmer things expand. You pull that cold air into your lungs, it gets warmed up to 98.6 degrees. That creates a vacuum. So imagine that. There's the air. It's all compressed, and then it expands inside your lungs. Well, now there's empty space between those molecules, and water from your body, from the moist tissues in your lungs, which is warmed or moistened by your blood, that water is going to go into those places, and then you're going to exhale. And what's going to happen to that air as it gets chilled? It's going to contract again, which is going to make the water vapor, the excess, condense right in midair. And that's what's happening. It's condensation from the moisture from you, from your blood. There's actually reindeer. They're the only animals I know that have evolved this feature. They actually have a specialized organ in their sinus cavity, I think it is, that extracts that water as it leaves. So, you know how your lungs dry out in the wintertime? Theirs don't. And it's really useful for them because they live in such a cold environment. They would dry their lungs out otherwise, and they would need a constant supply of water. So it's kind of neat, right? But yeah, that's what causes it. So hope that answers all three questions. See you guys.